you already know, you know, but if you don't, I'm going to introduce myself again. Because it has been a while since I've made a reading. A very long while, like months. But anyway, how you doing? My name is Xenos. And today, I don't know what the reading is going to be of, but had a weird dream last night. Don't remember it, like I hardly remember it, but you know, see where it goes. So right now I have the new Webster's library of practical information, and I'll give you a quote from there. Page 226. There can be no rainbow without a cloud and a storm. J.H. Vincent. Oh, that's weird, because the title is The Window to Your Soul. Window to the Soul, Your Eyes. So we have, like, on the bottom of the page is soul, also see body, confession, conscience, crime, dress, heaven, influence, miser, neglect, prayer, purpose, and sensuality. So I'm gonna read all of it. Anyway, the one thing in the world of value is the active soul. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The soul, like the body, lives by what it feeds on. Josiah Gilbert Holland. Most people sell their souls and live with a good conscience on the proceeds. Logan P. Smith. The mind is inescapable of conceiving such a thing as a soul. I may be in error, and a man may have a soul, but I simply do not believe it. Thomas A. Edison. The wealth of a soul is measured by how much it can feel, its poverty by how little. William Rosenville Auger. That's a weird one. The second to last one was weird, along with like the third one. And I'm going to go up like a little bit. Okay. Oh, okay. The world is so full of care and sorrow that it is a gracious debt that we owe to another to discover the bright crystals of delight hidden in somber circumstances and irksome tasks. Helen Keller. And on page 64, we have crisis, also see calamity and character. Also talks about the soul. These are the times that try men's soul. Thomas Paine. Crises refine life. In them you discover what you are. Alan K. Chalmers? I feel like I butchered the fuck out of that. Anyway, The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently. But he is willing, in great crisis, to give even his life, knowing that under certain circumstances it is not worthwhile to live. Aristotle. Okay, we're gonna go back to that, but as we wake or sleep, we grow strong or grow weak. And at last, some crisis shows us what we have become. Bishop Westcott. So I'm gonna mark these pages because we're gonna go back to those. But anyway. We're gonna go back to those. I definitely feel it. So, okay. Before I start with that, so we're gonna get angel numbers, letters, and crystals. $16. 55. 16, 55, 7, 555, or 1655. It might be relating to like a date, say January 6th or July 5th. It's like right after 4th of July. You also have 2 at the top, people. Yeah. 1655. It's gotta look weird. Weird. You have a aid, so I'm getting in lowercase reinforcements. Z, K, D. So it can like the words they line up with and something that's K and Z, another N, but it's both of the uppercase and the lowercase. Get 2 more. B was lowercase. And O. So you have A, N, D, B, O, N again, K, and Z. So you have and, bond. That's what I'm getting from this. And bond. Now K and Z, they're pretty particular with those letters. Zone. K and Z might be initials rather than a word that actually relates to something, but pretty much any of these can be initials, just to be honest. Code can, and it's with K, but it's like the sound is similar to C. Anyway, let's put these up. And I'll get you. So we have Chalcedony. I have no idea what this is. My first time seeing this kind of crystal. Harmony, brotherhood, and goodwill. And we have Jade, wealth, success, and wisdom. And 3-3. Okay. 6, 6, 6. 3-3-3. And okay. Lepidolite, peace, tranquility, and restful sleep. Rhodonite, forgiveness, love, emotional healing. Kind of looks like a watermelon. Or like, what is those dragon fruit? And on the back you have, and I told you 555, like another 5 to confirm it. 5555. Sapphire, wisdom, virtue, and good fortune on the back. Like that. If they need to come out again, they will. I actually gotta get some new cards. I get some new ones. These are like different. They've been through rough times. So right off the bat, we have depression and distrust. Universe or universal. Reunion. Look within. Air signs. Password. Grieving, transcend, violent, bargaining, feminine, and fresh air. And we have a blank slate. Live, love, laugh, or any variation of that. Yeah, okay. So right off the bat, depression, bargaining, and grieving, those are part of the 5 stages of grief, with depression being the first one. With depression being the first one, and acceptance is on the back of depression, but we haven't even gotten to that. And anger is on the back of bargaining, and destroying seek with grieving. So depression, anger, bargaining, grieving, and then acceptance. I believe that's how they will, but you know, I could be wrong. But that's just my own personal experience with the 5 stages. It's my own personal opinion. Anyway, let me get back on topic. So, with depression, I still have my fair share of battles with it. And it's not easy to just, snap out of it, all that shit. And most of the reason for depression often comes from not having needs met. And the 5 stages of grief can be to any type of situation that you are going through. It doesn't necessarily have to be about, you know, death or give you an example. So when it comes to accepting being trans, it wasn't easy for us. We always had like in the back of our mind that it's like, why am I made this way? Why couldn't I just be normal? Like, how people view what's normal. But it took a long time just to realize that, maybe it's not their normal, but it's my normal, if that makes sense. And everybody has different ways of what's normal for them because it's made for them. It's not for everybody, it's for them. It's for a specific person or a specific path. And even then, the trans experience is not universal, just like the cis experience is not universal. There's so many different identities, there's so many different ways of life that people go through to shape the person that they become. And at the end of the day, you still have that say so on who you become as a person. So with depression, it's more so directed at needs not being met and not feeling that you were up to par to what you expected of yourself. Because when you have such high expectations without actually allowing yourself to learn within those expectations and grow within it, you start to lose, well, it already says it right here, distrust. You start losing trust not only in yourself, but what's around you when you don't see that the work in progress, that from how far you've been to where you are now, you're more so just looking at it through a lens of, when people say the glass is half full, the glass is half empty, it's like the optimism and pessimism. So when you get more so, it should be a healthy balance of both, but that's just what I feel. But anyway, when you get too far leaning into the pessimistic side, not everything's gonna look sunshine and bright because you're just thinking it keeps going bad, it keeps doing this, it keeps doing that, instead of like feeling through and allowing yourself to come to terms with these emotions that you have, or taking a step back and realizing, okay, I'm getting out of my character right now because of X, Y, and Z. I'm feeling this way because of X, Y, and Z. Whatever it is for you, just feeling the X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? But when it comes to these particular ideas we have for ourselves and how we want ourselves to look like or be like, whatever those ideas we have of ourselves, they have to be grounded in a way of, I'm starting here so I can get to here. And that in between of that journey, you have to actually enjoy how it is instead of what it should be. And it isn't to say that it isn't going to be how it should be. It's just that right now, this is where you're starting at. So you have to make those steps to get to where it should be or how you want it to be. Putting too much emphasis on how it should be is like, it's not going to get you anywhere. especially when you know that it's something new that you're starting off with, or you're still getting the hang of it, because it doesn't. I've been doing tarot since I was 17, but I've been into. I'm actually using my first deck for this. This is my first deck. I got it from Walmart online, sent to me. But the Hoodoo Tarot, that was my first deck I ever. Scratch that. That wasn't my first deck. That was my second deck. My first deck was from Five Below. Um, I don't have like the box for it, but it was just the regular. Um, I think it was Ryder Smith. Ryder Smith. I think that's their name. I'm not good with the memory thing. Don't come at me. Anyway, Ryder Smith. Ryder Smith. I hope I'm saying that name right, but if I'm not, I'm just gonna put it, in the description. But anyway, that was my first deck from Five Below. But my second deck, I had got the Hoodoo Tarot. But I've been more so into spirituality and tarot when I first started when I was 17, but I was into it since I was 16. With more so just watching the videos and getting a feel of what it actually is. And it's so weird because so many people have different ideas of what they do with tarot and how they use them and how they channel messages. And for me, it was never about trying to see the future, but I had moments where I was stuck on not trusting myself, in the sense of I didn't feel like that I was doing everything right by the book. But there's no book to it. It's just you learn in your own way. Like I was 2 days ago, I didn't know that guinea pigs didn't have tails, and that kind of blew my mind because I always thought every animal had a tail. Like even if it's just a tailbone, I still consider that technically a tail. But I guess it's not really a telltale, you know. But they have a tailbone. That's basically just like how humans have, and that was weird to me. That blew my mind. And I'm not really savvy on understanding different perspectives, but I've had my own perspectives in many different forms. I wish you could see it, but my nails. It's the trans flag, but instead of just the white strip, it's black and white. So it's yin and yang, but it also represents the black and white thinking that I will sometimes put myself in, like if my day isn't going good and I'm just stuck on this mode of where I'm tired, then I'm gonna think all day that I'm tired and I can't do anything because I'm so tired. But that's not the truth. Truth of the matter is, I am tired, but there are things I can do to make my day less, more stimulating. I can make my day more stimulating instead of constantly being in this mode to where I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I mean. So, moving on, we have okay. before I move on to these, um, we have password here, and on the back is faith. For those of you who don't know, we had changed our name, and my old name had a name change. My old name meant faith, but it was always stuck in my head that I didn't have the faith that people want me to. More so because I genuinely do not believe that everybody has the same experience. I don't think anybody has the same experience. They may have similar circumstances, but it's not universal. So, how I view my universe, my God, how, you, how I view other gods of different cultures, everything like that, that is just through my own lens. And I had to, when I'm looking at password, it's like you're giving yourself access or you're giving access to something. So it took a long time because we're going back to the 5 stages of grief. So we have the grieving process, we have anger, we haven't even got into acceptance yet, but we have anger. So in this process of accepting oneself, we have this anger because there was so much that has happened where the past has not always been good. I mean good in the sense of there was a lot of times where there has been neglect. Um, and I more so just blame the perpetrators rather than who was around at the time. But previously I did blame everybody. Had a lot of blame for everybody, including myself, because I always felt that my anger was not just directed at on the outside; it was also inside, which is like when I see violence, it's like a storm that would never cease, or it's like a wildfire that just won't go out, even if you're putting water on it. It's like the water is just evaporating, and it just creates more pressure and more heat. Um, and that anger, it took a hold of me for a very long time. Maybe I wouldn't always show it right out. I would always be silent in that depressed mode because I was filtered between anger and depression, because depression for me was why it was like, what do I have to be angry about if this was my own doing? And that's when we have the mentality of blaming oneself for stuff that actually isn't your fault. Um, when you have an adult that or even because I just don't want to talk about um, only the adult side of the adult pedophilia, because there's also, you know, children who attack other children. Um, and when there's issues like that, you you don't really see much of it getting resolved, and it's just trauma that just sticks for a while until you're old enough to actually um, understand that it wasn't your fault. It was just things that need to be processed. Um, but when we go to how the perpetrators and the victims are The victim will blame themselves before they even blame the perpetrator. And maybe they will blame the perpetrator, but it's like, um, maybe the victim will blame the perpetrator, but that's when we go into the anger and the frustration of not being heard when we are telling our story. And then we're going to the bargaining process, because it can't be one way or the other. That's the black and white thinking. It can't be one way and the other. But the truth is, both ways are coexisting. And bargaining for me was, if I did this, then X, Y, and Z would happen. If I did this, then this would happen. If I just did what, they wanted me to, I just dressed, like a girl and more prettier, if I just acted like somebody that I wasn't, then I would be liked more, I would be appreciated more, I would be loved more. But those things don't coexist, because you're removing yourself, your soul, your soul's truth. You're removing yourself from this equation of the bargaining, because you're leaving yourself behind in order to people please where it shouldn't be people pleasing at. So now time's wasted, and you spend all this time trying to be something you're not. So now you have to grieve everything that didn't happen the way you wanted it to. So now the bargaining, where if you did this, X, Y, and Z would happen, and it never comes, you're grieving it because this should have happened. But if it's not aligning with your soul's truth, then why should it happen? Why should this be, the end goal or whatever? So now there's reevaluating. There's understanding that, yeah, this happened. So what can I do about it? Destroy and seek. You're seeking for yourself and what you created as the mess for people pleasing. So you gotta destroy what's blocking you from actually coming into your truth. Destroy what is stopping you from understanding your soul's truth. Destroy what's stopping you from getting out of this cage that you put yourself in. And the door has always been open. Maybe not all the time, but the door has been open for you to go out. But you decided to stay in the cage because that's what was more comfortable for you. All that you knew was the cage. So now coming out of this cage, you're saying, okay, maybe it's not so bad. I'm going out for fresh air, a fresher perspective, fresher views. So now we're over this and looking around. Whatever is outside the cage, why is it hard for you to understand that this cage isn't where you're supposed to be? So we have sickness behind violence. And for most of my life, I really thought I was sick in the head. And yeah, I was sick. I was sick and tired of the bullshit. I was sick and tired of having my own safety compromised. I was sick and tired of not being able to live the truth that I desired and constantly saying, this is my truth, and for it to be ignored, and to look at myself in the mirror and say, I hate you because I can't be who I am. I hate you because I can't see myself. You know the movie Avatar, and they always have this. They always have the phrase "I see you." What does it actually mean to see someone or something for for what it is? And this connotation can be negative or positive to me, because if you notice that somebody isn't taking those steps to change who they are, or change what or to just in general change to do something better, not only for themselves but for the person they want to keep in their lives. If you see that, then you see them for who they are, but you're still choosing to stay in a situation that doesn't serve you. And when I finally faced um, some of the stuff that was holding me back, I actually had to look at myself and say, this is not a sickness. I'm not sick. As much as people keep on telling me that I'm sick, I'm not sick. I am just a person who has issues that nobody else understands. I understand them, but nobody else understands them because they're choosing not to understand. They don't ask the right questions, and even if I try to explain it in my way, I'm not explaining it right. So I'm going to look within and see that do I actually need them to understand? Do I actually need them to see from my perspective? Flighty with air signs. What are the air signs again? Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. Yeah. And you also have Aries right here with look within, fire. Um, so you know that air and fire can either mix or it doesn't mix. So air can actually wipe out fire with the amount of air that goes to extinguish it. But it can also make the fire burn brighter. Um, and with flighty, in just a sense of not entirely having your head in the focus point, not entirely being focused to what you are moving yourself into. And it also works with bargaining. So flighty, going between acceptance and all of these other emotions that you feel with depression, anger, grieving, distrusting not only yourself, but the path that you are seeing. Hi there. Thank you for joining. Uh, my name is Xenos. Um, going back to it. Sorry. But when you're flighty, you're not really grounded into what it is that you actually see for yourself. When you see yourself in full view with the bad and the good, because again, bad and good is black and white thinking, I believe. But just seeing yourself as a human being, seeing yourself with all these emotions that you have, they stem from somewhere. So through that depression, through that anger, through that grieving, through the sickness and distrust, they stem from somewhere. Yes, you can. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to my readings, I do not do those things. Marriage and kids, those are choices that you have in your physical life. So when you find someone that you want to settle down with, and you make those decisions to have the kids, or whether it's through not marriage or anything, those are life choices that you make on your own. Tarot cannot dictate whether or not you will have a partner for that, or who is coming for that. And it's all just based on life circumstances, on how you navigate. If you want them, then strive for it, instead of asking somebody on the internet whether or not you will get that. And there's many other tarot readers who do love readings and all, but I'm not one of those, so thank you. So, with every emotion that we have, it's no problem. Every emotion that we have, and looking within to ourselves, and that's actually seeing yourself with everything that you've shown up till now. Even when nobody else is around, even when people are around, your mask will always be prevalent. If you cannot get to below the surface, if you cannot get below the surface of what is causing you to shift between these 5 stages, and to move past that cage, you will always be on the surface. So, what do we do to get out of this flighty state? What do we do to have this acceptance to ourselves? How do we transcend from not seeing ourselves to actually seeing full value? It starts with making boundaries. And I don't believe that the first people, you should start first making boundaries to people first. I feel like it should be to your own self. Because if you do not have your own self-discipline, self-restraint, The self-love to be like, I don't deserve this. I need to stop doing this. I need using I statements when referring to your own self instead of blaming other people for X, Y, and Z. For instance, I have issues of going off the rail in the sense of, you know, sorry, I'm blanking out. I tend to, I'm selectively mute, so I don't speak a lot, and they say that it builds up because of anxiety, but I believe that it stems from not really feeling as though our voice was being heard, and I know that for a fact. So if that's where it stems from, how can I get through that? I don't think I will. And I'm not even being negative about it. I just don't think I will. I personally just find it better just not talking rather than talking. And that's because there's so much. It's not even just because I don't think I'll be heard. It's because I just prefer not to. And in order to get over this not talking physically, I have to use a different way or mode of talking. And that's learning ASL. And I'm still learning. You know, I don't have that much knowledge when it comes to sign language, but it's a learning process. And when it comes to learning something new that is going to be beneficial for you, you can't get upset at yourself for not knowing something right off the bat. I know 1 through 10, and I know my A through Z, and that's about as much as I got, aside from how high by, you know, it's as much as I got, and slow. There's a little bit of sign, but I don't know everything. So being silent is just, it's not a defense mechanism because I can't even fucking control it. But you know, it helps that I know something. And it was a deaf person who came to where I worked at, and I didn't know it at first, but then I started realizing the way they talked was a little more slurish instead of more pronounced, and I get slurish too, but they started using signs with numbers, like, you know, their numbers, and I understood that, but they were doing it in a way where it was different because I do my numbers like, you know, I do this 9, 6, and they did it like, you know, 6. And then I'm sure this is like more so the proper way, but I am doing it like this, but I just do. Because it's just more easier for me to memorize that. So that caught me off guard, but you know, it's the more so proper way to do that when you're doing ASL. So, when it comes to accepting my transness, being selectively mute, having other disorders that made me feel like I was sick in the head, but it was just my own experience having my mind, I started to realize, okay, this isn't everybody else's normal, but it's my normal, and I get to choose what I do with my own life. I'm no longer a child. I'm no longer stuck in these instances where I have to constantly go to someone to do X, Y, and Z for me. I am able-bodied. There are certain things I do ask for help for, but asking for help is also an issue. And so when you get to the source of these issues that you have and why you have them, it helps you move forward. And on the back of Transcend, we have mythology. And on the back of Feminine, we have masculine, the balance. The little fresh air is meditation. When I first started meditating, I was doing sleep meditations because they would help me sleep at night. And most of the time, I'll wake up more refreshed rather than feeling as though I've been through so much turmoil through my sleep. This is weird. And like I said, when it comes to universal experiences, they're not universal. You have similar things, but they're not the same. Nobody in this world is the same. Even twins, they're not the same. Yeah. And did I just say and just I was done. I didn't mean to be like I wasn't gonna do anything. Talk out there. I was done. Okay. So I feel like a reunion is nearby. It may be with found family, which is the family that you choose. But it also is a reunion with yourself, with your soul. And to me, you are not a whole person without your soul, without getting to know your soul. You are not a whole person. Your soul has so much information to give you that you just have to be willing to seek it out. And you have to be willing to realize that the actions you have done, both good and bad, are not, they're not just separate from you, they are part of you. So when you go forward, you have to realize that, because I also feel when I said black and white thinking with good and bad, a lot of the stuff that we perceive as good is subjective, along with bad is subjective. Because you could be the villain in somebody's story, or you could also be a hero. But, all those things are really subjective. But when it comes to morals, those are not subjective. Those are what you live by. In my own moralities, I still have work to do on them, I'll say that. But in my own morale, I just don't don't think they're always going to be the same. Because when it comes to being in this life, when you're being a human, you have the ability to change throughout. You're not supposed to stay the same. You're supposed to evolve, understand. You're supposed to have emotions that relate back to you that, okay, this is okay. This is not okay. This is somewhere in the middle where we just don't understand, so now we have to figure this out. But if this is in the middle, why is this bad? Why is this okay? And all of those questions you have are always going to be within. It doesn't hurt to get other perspectives, but the perspective you have is and the perspective you have is always going to be woven to you. Now, we have these out of the way. I'm not going to do the tarot decks first. I'm going to do the oracles because there's so many of them that I have over here. And you'll see that in the description. There's like a lot of them. Affirmation cards come after. So does Soulful Woman. Don't remember. Yanni. Oh. Excuse me. So, we're going to start with Dark Mirror. So we have 2, Temple of My Body. Ten, Colorless Angel. Five, Gilded Regrets. Okay. And 30, Calling the Storm. And on the back of the deck, we have 25, Fated to Suffer. I love that card so much you just don't understand. And I'll get to you on why I do. So let's go with the Oracle of Emanations, the Angelarium. Remiel, Angel of Visions. Ezreal, Angel of Death. I'm going to show these, but I'm getting this one. You have right leg endurance. So you have Hasmid, Angel of Annihilation, and Gabriel, Angel of Heralds. Gonna get one more though. Okay, but that's a lot. Okay. So you have Chesed, right hand, empathy. And I'm going to show these other cards, but I'm not going to keep them, you know. So you have Matario, Angel of Rain. Hod, left leg, submission. Gevura, left hand, judgments. Okay, actually, I'm gonna keep them. There's something like, you know. So on the back you have Zachariel, Angel of Memory. But it's kind of funny because I didn't realize at first, but then I saw the right leg and the right hand. But now you have the left leg and the left hand. And that's a lot of emanations. Oh my God. Oh. Huh. Okay.
Oh, hey, lady. I'm in your house, fucking up your shit.
Hold on.
Looks like shit. Maybe four. They don't seem connected.
I will be back. I'm going to do a